Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your attendance this morning. I want to give special thanks to the men and women who are standing behind me. Jay Stowe from JEA, Nat Ford, JTA, Mark Van Lowe, JAA, Eric Green from Jacksport, Andre Wallace from Jax USA, Randy Weiss from the Jacksonville Association of Firefighters, Hank Cox, the Bedell firm and past president of the Jacksonville Bar Association and Florida Bar Association, Jason Gabriel, Burr and Foreman and past general counsel, Cindy Laquadera, Ackerman LLP and past general counsel, and Councilman Matt Carlucci. I'd also like to acknowledge John Delaney, past mayor and general counsel, and John Baker, community leader and CEO of FRP Holdings. All of these folks have come here to stand behind me today to support our nominee for general counsel. That says a lot. That says a whole lot. Randy loves this city with all her heart. We share that in common. We're also fifth-generation Jacksonville natives who believe that unity is the way forward. As I promised during this campaign, I am going to continue to align myself with people who will put their love for Jacksonville over their love of power. I promised that during the campaign, and I will continue to do that. Randy is eminently qualified. That is why all these people are here. She brings decades of experience as general counsel and management executive, including serving as counsel to one of Jacksonville's Fortune 500 companies. Randy serves as senior vice president, national agency counsel for Fidelity National Title Group, and has held that position since 2013. Prior to Fidelity, she was a senior vice president at Regency Centers, where she started the legal department and ran it for 16 years. Randy understands our consolidated government. She was elected to the Jacksonville City Council in 2019, and she served as chair of the Neighborhoods Community Services, Public Health, and Safety Committees, and she has worked closely with our independent authorities, who, again, as you can see, are all here today. She has been willing to stand up for the independent authorities, most notably during the attempted sale of JEA, a corrupt scheme that would have been the largest theft in Jacksonville's history. It has never been about party politics for Randy, never. It has always been about what is best for Jacksonville. You've watched her. You have seen this. She is a Republican. She holds many of those ideologies. She also holds in her the ability and the willingness to be an honest broker, always. Always. We've watched her. We've seen her do that. She's facing a smear campaign, y'all. That's what this is about. Like Randy, it is not about party politics for me. On the campaign trail, I promised to build an administration that included leaders from across the political spectrum, and that is exactly what we are doing. So why is it that the Republican establishment continues to work against my Republican appointees? Somebody asked me that a couple weeks ago. I asked you to think about it. You got the answer yet? Do you get it? I'm going to tell you why. The same forces who tried to sell JEA and are now actively working against Randy's nomination are putting pressure on our council people. They're using their typical playbook, dividing our community, scorched earth tactics, whisper campaigns, and outright lies that impugn Randy's good character. False and frankly sexist accusations that Randy allegedly doesn't have the right temperament to lead this office. Can I just tell you, as a woman in leadership, if I had $1 for every time somebody told me that a woman did not have the right temperament to lead, I'd be a very, very rich person right now. I can tell you that in all the people that I have talked about with Randy, the people she has worked with and for over the years, beyond this rhetoric that we are currently hearing, I have never once heard anyone question her temperament to lead, and she has led well, and for a very long time. So, none of this is really about her qualifications, her ability to do the job as a former city council member. It is about personal grudges. It is about vendettas because Randy stood up to the establishment, and largely because she stood up when they tried to sell JEA. As I said, the very same forces that are behind that theft of JEA, that the court cases and investigations are still underway for, they're scared to have a general counsel who will be transparent and accountable to that process. And they're putting pressure on our council people. Enough is enough of this. I campaigned saying that I was going to do my very best to end punishment politics in this city. It's enough, y'all. It is enough. It is enough. We have got to stop playing this game. I will tell you that our GOP chairman, Dean Black, said to me a couple weeks ago, listen, I'll just tell you, anybody that did not support the Republican standard bearer in the last election should never get another Republican vote. That's wrong. And I told him so. Tim Baker, the architect of the JEA deal. Brian Hughes, who has frankly been responsible for so much of the fear that has been in this office. With the first week I was here, I had so many people say to me some version of, if I duck when you walk in the room, please don't be alarmed. It's just a reflex. These are the folks who I was told when I first started talking to city council people weeks ago, when y'all first started floating Randy's name in the press, weeks ago, I was told she's an honest broker. She would absolutely represent both the council and the mayor's office. That's what this is about. Somebody who will be an honest broker and not just be the attorney for the mayor. That's what it's about. That's why I chose her. I was told, but you got to be prepared. You're going to get a war from Brian Hughes. And I said, that's okay, bring it. Let's go. Because I am here to end that type of punishment politics. I believe people elected me primarily for a few reasons. One, because they know I love this city and I will always speak the truth and always do what I think is best for this city. Number two, they know I'm going to be an honest broker and that I will do what I said I was going to do and do my best to end this type of punishment politics. And three, they want me to fix the damn roads. Okay? I have had wonderful conversations with our council people. Okay, we have had so far a very good working relationship. This type of stuff really, really has got to be fixed. We've got to get to the point where we can judge people by the merits, by their qualifications, and not by this type of pressure. In all due respect to Councilman Freeman, who said last night that this wasn't about politics, the very next thing that came out of his mouth was, the mayor has put her spin, has hired a hired gun to put her spin on a request for an ethics opinion on Randy DeFoor. And he then further said, it's not about me, it's about we. Well, Councilman Freeman, let me say, I agree with you. It is not about me, it is about we. And y'all should want to have an ethics opinion that represents what every single legal and ethics expert has said to me through this whole process. And the reason that we did not ask for this opinion earlier is because every single one of those people told us this is not an issue, that general counsel is not a policymaker, that general counsel represents the mayor and represents the council and is not a lobbyist. We have gone ahead and asked for that opinion, not to try to put a spin. We're trying to get the Ethics Commission to weigh in because y'all told me that's what you wanted. The council told me that's what they wanted, and it is still not clear to me whether the council has the legal right to ask for that opinion. I know the appointing body has the legal right. I know that the nominee has the legal right, so I thought, let me go ahead and get that out there and let's get that done. Now, all of a sudden, the mayor has got a hired gun to put her spin on it? No, that's not what this was about at all. And I brought Jason Gabriel here today to answer any questions you have about that later on, once I finish opining up here on the stage. So that is really mostly the sum of what I want to say here today. I'm not in this office to sit and do nothing. I am going to do everything I can to change the culture in this city, as the people ask me to do, from one of fear to one of unity. That's what people have asked me to do, and I believe that's what they want our council to do as well. I just got to say, study after study has shown that females in leadership often face what is called a double bind. If they are perceived as nice, warm, and nurturing, they're told, golly, I don't know if you have what it takes to lead. But when they are forceful, when they push to get things done, as Randy has most certainly used her voice to do, they're often criticized as too angry and too aggressive, and they just don't have the temperament to lead. Well, let me just tell you, this woman has the temperament. With this type of thing, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? But I'm asking people to judge Randy DeFoor on her merits, on her qualifications. We're going to get this ethics opinion, but I'm just going to tell you, in the case of Al Ferrara, we've had some council members clinging to that requirement for a college degree like a life raft to justify their votes against him, even though he's doing an outstanding job in neighborhoods. And there are some who are hopeful that an ethics opinion, unlikely as it may be, and even should it go their way, would not mean that she couldn't complete her duties. They're hanging on to that so they don't have to say the rest of the reasons. I'm asking folks out there in our community to ask for better. I want desperately to work with this council, and I believe they want to work with me. But we've got to get past the fear, and we've got to get past the pressure from the folks who can't seem to accept that they lost an election, and not by a little bit, by the way. So with that, let me bring up Randy to say a few words.
Boy, it says a lot, doesn't it? The city of Jacksonville is so fortunate to have Mayor Deegan, and good morning, by the way, again. So please let me start by thanking you, Mayor, for your trust and your confidence in me, and for reaching across the aisle for what's best for our city. It is a complete honor to reach back. It is our love of this city, where our families have lived now for generations, that unites us and unites all of us here today. Council members, and thank you, Mike Gay and Jimmy Police, for joining us as well. I look forward to the confirmation process and to earning the votes and your trust to serve you as your general counsel as well. And I would say the same to the heads of the authorities, all of you who are here today. I am very grateful for the leadership of the state and local bar who have gathered in support today and our past general counsels. These are respected senior members of my profession, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. My willingness to take this step is born out of the belief that Jacksonville has begun to turn the page of history and enter into the bright new future with the election of Mayor Deegan, who made it clear that she wishes to unite, not divide us. It will take all of us standing behind her to reach that goal. That used to be the way things were done here in Jacksonville. Unfortunately, there are still those among us who want to continue ways of division and the politics of personal destruction. I've been surprised to find out through whisper rumors and lies from the small cartel of dividers that I have been both disbarred and Baker acted. Neither is true. I have also heard it being said that I am, quote, too volatile, to which I would say, show me. I am hoping that these undercurrents are not what they really seem to be, which is the echo of revenge for my stand on the JEA. At this time, I'm really reminded of the words of Harry Truman when someone said, give them hell, Harry. And he replied, I just tell them the truth, and they think it's hell. In the dealings with counsel, I was always respectful, as I was raised to be, but always grounded solely in the truth. Perhaps that is what discomforts some now. In any event, I will not change my fidelity for anyone or any client. As many of you know, my family was in the banking business for many generations here in Jacksonville. And after the Great Fire of 1901, the worst in American history after Chicago and San Francisco, the city lay in ruins. Every single bank in the city had burned to the ground except my family's bank. They had a favorable turn in the winds. The tragedy for other banks was Barnett's opportunity to sweep up every single customer in the city. Instead, my great-great-grandfather, William Barnett, made space in the lobby and vault of the bank for each of his competitors. That is what this mayor is made of. That is what I am made of, and that is what our city was made of. It was this spirit that made Jacksonville the banking capital of Florida and the region. In my heart, I know this is the true spirit of our city. As Mayor Deegan said on the day she was sworn in, we all want a community where we lift as we climb, choose love over fear, take down the walls that divide us, and remove the obstacles between us. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why we're here today. Thank you so much.
I'd like to now invite Jay Stowe up to say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Deegan. I'm happy to be here along with the other representatives from the independent agencies of the consolidated government of Jacksonville to support you, your administration, and to support Randy DeFoor. I think we're all trying to build community and improve lives, which is the mission of JEA every day. And I try not to get too much into the story of the history of JEA prior to my arrival 2.5 years ago, but I think it's suffice it to say that we sort of hit a rough patch. Because of a small group of people, we lost the trust of the community and our employees. And while there were a number of people inside of JEA, on the city council, inside the city, in the community that stood up for what was and is right, and no one person can get the credit for the work that was done to right the ship at the time, Randy DeFoor is certainly one of the people who really was involved to make JEA better and make this community better. As a council member, she was the council liaison to JEA when I first arrived. As a council member, she was one of the active members of the Special Investigative Committee. She has a deep understanding of our organization. She has a deep understanding of the city and of the consolidated government. And she's seen firsthand what it looks like when things are not done correctly. So based on her understanding of that consolidated government, her deep understanding of JEA and the community, and her desire to do positive things for Jacksonville and Northeast Florida, I'm proud to state our support for Mayor Deegan's nominee, Randy DeFoor, to be the next general counsel for the city of Jacksonville.
Okay, who has questions? And we got plenty of people here to answer them if you have any. And if you don't, that's fine too. We pretty much covered it.
They're saying that this is, they want the Ethics Commission to look at this.
Which they will, yeah.
So is that wrong to ask them if this is actually a legal move? And what if it does come back that they're saying, they say they don't think it should be this way?
Listen, here's the thing. Like I said, the reason that we didn't ask for one initially is because every single legal and ethics expert that we asked, including the entire committee that vetted these candidates, said they did not see it as an issue. When counsel raised it as an issue, and it appeared that it perhaps needed to be me or Randy DeFoor that asked for this opinion, I started asking that we draft an opinion because I was getting, no, they can't. Yes, they can. Well, now we're not sure. So let's go ahead and get it done. If this is what they want, let's get it done because we feel pretty confident that Randy would be able to conduct the duties of her job, or frankly, we wouldn't have nominated her. Okay? So if counsel wants to add additional questions, I will tell you, anybody that has read that, have y'all read that? Do you have a copy of it? You can see that it's quite comprehensive in terms of the opinion that is laid out there. If the Ethics Commission only has to give a yes or a no and counsel wants to put into that request, please show your work and tell us how she can or can't. Fantastic. The fact that we are now hearing that we need a second request to counsel because the mayor, there shouldn't be a them and us on this issue. It should be, we want to know if our nominee for general counsel is qualified. So unless you're going into this process hoping she will not be, I don't know why you would be upset with an opinion that reflects the opinion of every single legal and ethical expert that we talk to, and that is that this is not an issue. They will ultimately make a ruling on that. So no, I do not have a problem at all with this going to the Ethics Commission. I'm just saying, why will we make it political if politics is truly not involved here? Why are we making this process? I was simply trying to expedite the process because it wasn't clear to me that counsel had the standing to actually do what they are trying to do. So I said, let me go ahead and call the question. If they want to add stuff to it, if they want to do their own, go right ahead. That's fine with me. Yes, sir.
My question would be, if confirmed, would you reintroduce or put back 2017-160, that's public participation? That was the ability for Joe public to ask or to participate before a vote was taken for any board term or commission. And Carl Miller is an interpretation of those pieces that it got taken out of the Jacksonville City Council legislative solution process. So my question is simply, would you reintroduce that?
I'm not familiar with it, but I'd certainly take a look at it. Okay. Who else? Yes.
Mayor Deegan, my question is not related to the topic at hand here. It's about the previous administration not being very active to reach out to the immigrant community. I heard from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and several immigrants and the Latino community, of course, where the previous administration did not really reach out to the community. They did not went to events that were related to Hispanic or immigrants in general, Haitians or Ukrainians. And is there going to be an attempt in this administration now to make the changes as well? There seems to be a Hispanic board here.
Yep.
And I'm quoting the person that said they were here for decoration.
Yes, I understand. It's one of the things I talked about on the campaign trail. I don't want anybody here for decoration. One of the reasons that I brought Garrett Dennis in for boards and commissions was to make sure that we brought people from every single part of this community that represents the way Jacksonville looks and every different type of person on these boards. People that represent our Hispanic community, people who represent, every single walk in this community. We have reached out to the Hispanic Chamber. I have asked Hispanic business owners to get involved with our small business initiatives. So yes, we are absolutely doing that. Absolutely doing that. That was one of the reasons that I ran for this office, was to make Jacksonville a city that works for all of us, and all of us means all of us, including immigrants. Anybody else with a question? Yes.
With the talk of getting the Ethics Commission involved, what does that do to the timeline and process of getting Randy for final city council vote, and is Bob Rose prepared to serve longer if that decision is deferred?
If, I don't know exactly what the timing's going to be yet. We're hearing something about October 20th at this point, but I'm happy to have Jason Gabriel come up and answer that question.
Good afternoon. That's correct. Last conversation I had with the State Ethics Commission was October 20th, maybe the next available commission meeting to have to discuss this topic. They meet every 6 weeks, and as you can imagine, there's a lead time before the commission meeting to actually study and look at the thing and have a back and forth with the people asking for it, and that's what I expect as well. So October 20th is actually pretty quick if you think about it, but that's where we are at the moment.
Jason, could you talk about the process simply because you were sort of cast as a hired gun last night in the council meeting? Could you talk about the process and why this is basically the way things are supposed to be?
Sure. Mayor is the appointing authority. Obviously, this attorney is the attorney for the consolidated government, for the unitary interests. And I know that's kind of hard to fathom when you look at the internal squabbles that happen, inside this building. But at the end of the day, the general counsel is engaging in the practice of law. As the mayor said, not a lobbyist, not an advocate. In fact, I think general counsels in the past, including myself, who have been purported or accused of dabbling in those areas have gotten themselves in hot water. I'd submit that the charter defines the general counsel in a specific way where by law you cannot advocate or lobby internally. At the end of the day, and I think the mayor hit it right on the head, it's we. It's not any particular faction of the government. So in other words, the general counsel by law represents the consolidated government. That includes the executive branch and the legislative branch. And I'll go to my deathbed saying that until I'm blue in the face. And until the charter changes, that is what the general counsel represents. And so until there's a change in state law or what have you, the general counsel represents the unified interests of the consolidated government. That means sausage making in the council, the potential for veto from the mayor, back and forth, overrides, whatever you want to call it, and all the things that are fun to talk about and write stories about. At the end of the day, there's an action and a decision that's made, and the general counsel defends that decision to the outside world. So that's where we are. Well, I think, Mayor can speak to this, but October 20th, as I understand it, Mr. Rhodes is the acting general counsel through September 30th. So there will be a decision point at some point soon as to who the acting general counsel will be October 1st for the next 90 days if action hasn't taken place before then. So that's where it is. And if there's a new acting general counsel on October 1st, hypothetically, there's another 90 days for that person to interact while we're getting a commission opinion 20 days later on October 20th. I mean, that right now, that's where we are. Absolutely, she could. I'm not making that decision, but she absolutely could. Sure. And I'd submit, by the way, let me say this. We asked for the opinion. I have strong feelings about this particular area of law, period. And I've been in front of the State Ethics Commission a bunch of times. I've dealt with the State Ethics Commission quite a bit, both on advisory opinions and on complaints, and been pretty successful. And I'd submit that today, general counsel could operate under the existing opinions and the existing statute and constitutional provisions today. I think this is being done as a measure, again, in response to some questions that have come up. And so fine, we'll seek that further clarity. And we're talking about the practice of law here, which is its own trade.
In terms of who has standing.
Oh, I'm sorry, in terms of who can ask? I don't think, so when you this is sort of hyper-technical stuff. I'd submit that it's the mayor, it's the executive who asks the question. She's the appointing authority. She's the one who should ask and really should be the sole person who asks. Sure, council, absolutely, if they want to have some input and they want to ask some other questions, they can ask those questions. They can be packaged in the same request that's going to the State Ethics Commission. It should always run through the executive branch. That's my belief. This idea that the council can go and ask for its own opinion is splitting hairs on the interpretation of the rules where a terminating, not just an appointing authority, but a terminating authority could also ask the question. I think that's the hat that some people are hanging their hat on, that council could ask the question because they can essentially terminate but not appoint. So I do think there's a little bit of gray area there. I'd submit that even if they could, it is wholly appropriate for the executive branch to interface with the outside world, including outside jurisdictions like the State Ethics Commission, to ask questions. Otherwise, we look dysfunctional.
I appointed a Republican across the aisle, someone who I don't always agree with ideologically, someone who I watched on the council for her entire time there, who was willing to both side with her party in times that she agreed and times when she was willing to step aside when she saw that what was happening with the establishment was not what was in the best interest of the people of Jacksonville. I appointed her for that reason and that reason only, and I stand by that.
And do you stand with Matt Carlucci's tweet that referred to dark political operatives pushing last night's resolution? Councilmember Terrence Freeman has taken issue with this characterization since he was the bill sponsor.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Councilman Freeman about that. Anyone who knows Matt Carlucci knows that he does not have a racist bone in his body. There was actually nothing meant by that tweet that had anything to do with Terrence Freeman's race. And I'm chagrined that it was taken to that place. At the end of the day, Councilman Carlucci has every right in the world to say that forces that have taken this city in a bad direction are pushing. And I've said the same thing. When he said dark, whatever it was, dark, what did he say? What was the actual words, Matt? I don't even remember. But that was clearly what he meant. There was no commentary on Terrence Freeman. That was commentary on the folks who have made it a cottage industry to divide this community. And we're just not going to have it anymore. I know Matt wanted to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Deegan. Congratulations to our next General Counsel DeFoor. I stand by my comment on Twitter completely. I've been up on this council for the last 4 years, but I'm in my 5th term now. I've seen it all, but I've never seen anything like I've seen the last 4 years, and I don't want to see what's happened the last 4 years happen this next 4 years. And she has taken, the mayor, Deegan, has taken great strides to try to spread and make this administration and her team look like Jacksonville. I want to talk on the Ethics Commission for just a second. Having been there 5 years, having chaired the Ethics Commission for 1 year, and having spoken to the executive director yesterday, it is completely you don't get 2 requests from the same city for an opinion on the same thing. That doesn't happen. And if the council wants to expedite this matter, then they should withdraw their proposal and allow Mayor Deegan's proposal to go forth, because the staff members of the Florida Commission on Ethics, they will cover and unturn every rock of any questions there could ever be to having a former council member serve in this role. And this council member, by the way, her integrity is undeniable. So it's unprecedented to have a council who is not the appointing body. We confirm, but we don't appoint. Mayor Deegan is the right person to ask for the opinion and nobody else. And I will venture to say one other thing, when the commissioners get 2 requests for opinions, one of the first things going to come to their mind is, I wonder what kind of politics is going on in Jacksonville. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to say this one last thing. My family goes back to the pre-consolidations of fighting for this city. And if I say something that hurts somebody's feelings, but I know it to be true, I'm sorry. But I am going to fight for my city, because I want to live long enough to see normalcy return like we've had in past administrations. And this wonderful mayor of ours is working so hard towards that path. And we've got to get behind her, and we've got to help her. And we've got to talk to our council members. And we have to demand better. With that, I think I'm starting to sound like a politician. I'm going to leave.
Thank you, Matt. Any other questions before we let y'all out of here today? Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time. And if you have anything for any of us at a later time, just let us know. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.